Alright, in prep of getting the new Two Brothers exhaust in, we're going to go ahead and start getting this one tore apart. That way, when it gets here, it'll just be a quick swap over and away we go. So, I think I'm going to pull the heat shield first. It looks like it's a T25. We'll get them zipped out and see what's next. Alright, so 4 in the back, 2 in the front, and this piece comes off. And these look like they're actually held onto the pipe by a clamp of some sort. So now we'll see if we can get these mufflers off. Alright, this muffler nut looks to be a 14. I'm going to use a bit of an extension so I don't chew up this paint. Alright, it was a pretty darn tight fit. Alright, now there is a like regular hose clamp with a flathead in the back. See if we can deal with that. Alright, looks like there's a bracket up under here that needs to come loose, and for some reason it is Imperial 3/16 Allen. Now that bracket also connects, no, you can't even see it, boom, right here on the back side. But we're going to see if we can take the bracket off the bottom, get this muffler out of the way, and then we can have access to the rest of the bracket over here. Well, that just said F you. Alright, the impact didn't work. It didn't have enough nizuts, but the old ratchet does. I'm going to get them loose. And because I'm lazy, see if we can zip them out. Much better. Alright. There we go. Let's see. Success. Now you can see that bracket that it was mounted to right up under here. Alright, the passenger foot peg needs to come off next. It's got this little clip right here. We'll hit it with a flathead screwdriver. Once you do, this little clevis pin slides right out. Alright. See how much fun we can have with an E-clip. Alright. Clip off. Pin pulls out. The whole assembly comes with it. Now there's a spring in here, so kind of pay attention. I just slipped the clevis pin back in it to kind of keep this together. And now deep down in here looks to be a star of some sort. So Torx of some kind. Not long enough. Alright, we're going to go dive in the garage, in the toolbox, see what kind of long Torx we got. Well, the tool gods have shined on me, and I happen to have the right tool in the shop. It's a T45, long, and goes right down up inside there. So we'll, let's go ahead and take care of this. Alright, now that that's out of the way, there's an Allen and another Allen. What size do we got for them? Alright, everything down here seems to be Imperial, or at least that's what's fitting with these cheap Pittsburgh tools. This is a 5/16. Fits good. An 8 looks like you might be able to mash it in, but it just doesn't want to fit. So let's get these bolts out. Ooh, she no likey. Oh my goodness. You know, I have an 80-gallon air compressor, and I have air tools. I have up to a 3/4 inch impact, and I'm hand ratcheting. Sometimes things just don't make sense. Alright, well, now that bracket's free, looks like we might be able to get this last cannon off with a big old squiggle jerk. Success. Alright, I've already loosened them, but before I pulled it off, I want to give you guys a quick peek. This heat shield is attached with like hose clamps. One here and one up here. So to get a little bit easier access to the bolts up in there, I'm going to go ahead and get this heat shield off. You just need to make sure that you unscrew these hose clamps all the way. That way you can pop it off like that. Alright, went ahead and took a look, and it looks like a 13 will fit up in here. Give it a long extension. That way I can reach. And I'm going to break out my new to me Earthquake Composite Impact. It's a 3/8. They had it on sale at the old Harbor Freights. It was like a customer return or something. I think I got it for like 50 bucks. I used it before for a little bit and it worked really well. So we'll give it a go today. Let's see how she does. Well, that was easy. Now I just gotta find the nuts. I hate when I gotta find my nuts. Usually I probably should look in the wife's purse, I guess. Alright, there we go. Got them out. And able to get the flange up off the assembly. And this head pipe's ready to come off. Now we gotta go to the front, which doesn't look so easy. It looks like we gotta actually undo the, at least undo a little bit of the oil cooler so we can get to it. Alright, on the oil cooler, there's a cover on it. Right here, this is T25, or probably a T27, but T25 got it out. You kind of gotta work it up and loose. There's some metal tabs up there that kind of slot into those metal tabs, and that'll get it off. And looks like we can probably just loosen this up because we got to get up in there to the head pipe. So let's see, we probably can loosen this, and we may have to loosen these right here. We'll see. When in doubt, pull stuff off. Alright, so this is a hot mess of wedgery. I took the top bolt out, which allowed me to pull this grommet up and out. You can see, maybe you can't, there you go. You can see that's where it's screwed into. And the oil cooler itself just sits down here with these rubber grommets that kind of sit into this frame. The hose up here in and the hose down there out. Need just enough to kind of get this extension back behind it and get it onto the head bolt. I had to slip the socket over and then kind of twist and turn, and then I got my extension in there. Alright, we'll get these bolts zipped out and then hopefully we'll be able to take the head pipe off. friggery there. Boom. Said head pipe has been removed. Now, one thing I forgot to do was to disconnect the O2 sensors. Yay! Reach up under there. And let's see, do we give them a squeeze? Yep. Reach up under there, and there's a little tab in the back, give it a squeeze. You got one in the back, and you got one down here, up underneath by the brake for the front. As I beat and bang this pipe all over the bike. Come on, you dirty. There we go. Alright, so don't do what I did. Disconnect these first. Otherwise, you'll be trying to disconnect them while holding the stupid thing. Now, I do believe that the Two Brothers reuses these kind of like metal snap ring looking things and the flanges. But I guess we'll see when it gets here. So, come on UPS. Waiting on you. And just in case it does, we're going to just go ahead and get them off while we're fill farting around here. Alright, got that off, and that comes right up off with it. Also, I'll go ahead and get the O2 sensors spun out, because those are going to have to transfer to the new pipe. O2 sensors are a 14 in case you're wondering. That way, if you're pre-assembling all your tools, you can go ahead and grab a 14 millimeter. O2 sensor out. Alright, UPS finally got here. It's only dang near 6 o'clock. So, let's take a look. We have the obligatory advertise for me stickers. Comes in every single package nowadays. That's really nicely packaged. I mean, everything's individually compartmentalized. So nothing can beat and bang around and get tore up before I beat and bang it around and tear it up. Huh? TIG welds are nice. Little spring hangers. All the welds right there. Got a little TBR plate right there. Kind of, I don't know if that's fake carbon fiber or legit carbon fiber. It might be legit. Either way, it looks cool. It is a straight through exhaust, so this schmugger ought to give us some good noise finally, and this bike can sound like it's supposed to. We got that. Let's see. Little heat shield. The finish is nice. I mean, it's all stainless. What else we got? One of the head pipes. Alright. Feel it's a little dimpled. It's got the proper taper on it. The proper retaining ring. With real nice welds on them. It is a stepped header. So we go from whatever this size is, I can mic it, to whatever that size is. But there is a step. It's 2 different sizes. Places for our O2 sensor, spot for the spring joiner. That's not bad. Other head pipe, looking just as nice. All nice welds, nice construction, nice bends. Another heat shield. Well, they were on a roll. I did appreciate the fact that I didn't have to bust open plastic bags, but I had to bust open this one. So, a little heat shield action going on. Oh, and the bag of hardware. What do we got? Alright, so we got brackets and clamps and bolts. Oh my. Instructions. Well, disassembly, we've already taken care of that. Hey! We got photos, so even a dummy like me can follow along. Alright, so it has a pretty good, tells you how to take it apart, and there we go, we're taking off our foot peg, we're taking off all that jazz, and removing this, putting it back on. Yay. Ew. What is that? Oh. Alright. Doesn't look too painful. Looks like the heat shields are the ones that are using the hose clamps that are in the bag. And, well, I'm going to get this all pulled out, get the camera rearranged, and we'll figure out how to put this mother sucker back on. Alright, I've gone ahead and just installed the rear head pipe off camera. I'll show you how to do the front one, because this one's pretty self-explanatory. You do have to move over the original clamp and the original spring retainer. Now, when you put this in, you need to make sure that you put it in so that it's loose, because we're going to have to put on the collector in a little bit. And you will need to use the supplied 18mm to whatever they are, 12mm O2 adapters. So let's see, I think I got the other one I haven't put in yet, but Two Brothers does supply them. It's got a little gasket, goes up underneath. That way, if eventually you want to go to a wideband kit, all you gotta do is take the adapters out. Now, once you put this back in, make sure it's loose. Go ahead and reconnect. Let's see. Yep. Reconnect your oxygen sensor. Might as well go ahead and do it now. That way you don't fire it up and forget about it later and wondering why your bike's running like crap. So, what we're going to take a look at now is removing these two bolts to put on this bracket. They give you two new bolts to put in place of this. And to pull these suckers out, let's see what it look like. Yeah, we're looking at a quarter Allen. So, alright, I'm going to put you, we'll get these bolts pulled out, we'll get the new supplied bolts ready, and we'll get this bracket put in. Alright, let's go ahead and get these bolts out so that we can get this show on the road. Alright, so take a look, see the bolts. These are the factory ones, real short, and these are the replacement ones from Two Brothers. Extra length that will allow us to move over and use the new installed bracket. So go ahead and thread these in. Maybe I grabbed the wrong bolts. Maybe they're the black ones. Aha! They're the black ones. Scratch that. Original bolt, replacement bolt. It's the flanged head black one. Alright, looks like you just gotta mush the, there's some wires that run behind the bracket. So just take care you don't pinch any of them. I guess I should have pre-sized these. I wonder what size they look like. Maybe 9/16, since everything seems to be running all the Americano. Well, 14 will do for right now. Makes spinning them in a little quicker. That's way too loose to go to beating on it with, but alright, let's go find a proper socket and we can get these tightened down. Alright, they look to be, they're 1/2 inch. Doesn't take much. The back of this air gun's got an adjustable torque thing on how much you want to run it in with. Alright, brackets installed. Well, we'll see what's next. Alright, when we removed the original exhaust, we took with it the bracket that actually supports our passenger peg. So they supply a replacement bracket and it uses your stock hardware in the stock locations. Now it says to make sure that you install this with the bent tab. You see it's kind of bent out, with the bent tab facing the outside, and then you'll put your passenger peg up top. So let's I'm going to put this in. I'm going to use a little bit of Loctite on the bottom. It looked like they had Loctite from the factory, and since this is a passenger peg, really don't feel like having my passenger wind up dragging their foot on the ground going down the highway. This stupid frickin' retention clip, I've never seen something so damn hard to get on and off a frickin' impact. Driving me nuts. I guess the good thing is you won't lose it if you're down someplace where you can have a whole lot of crap going on. I guess that would suck worse. Grab that 8. Alright, now we need to put the passenger peg bracket back onto the relocation bracket. Looks like there's a flat indexing spot. Let's see. Yeah, that looks like it should do it. It should line it up. Now they supply you with a nut to go on. It's a nylock nut to go on in place to tie into this bolt, because the original bracket, this bolt just threaded right into the bracket. So I'm going to Loctite a little bit of this, even though that is a nylock. We'll do it anyway. And we'll drop that back down in there. And this was our big T45. And, you know, I think this probably would have been a lot easier to have done this first rather than doing it now. Kind of maybe a misstep in their directions. Maybe they should tell you, hey, put this peg on so you're not fiddle farting around trying to hold the nut while it's in the back, right next to the brake lines and every damn thing else they got going on back here. It's not too bad, I guess. Alright, so got the passenger peg on. It's good and snug. It's lined up, doing what it needs to do. Alright, here we can get a good close-up. You can see that little flat notch kind of lined up with that. That's the factory hardware holding the bracket to the 2 factory mounting points. And here's that bracket we installed to the transmission cover earlier. So, alright, next step. Alright, I kind of avoided mounting this head pipe off camera, so we're going to go ahead and go through the steps of it. They give you the supplied O2 sensor adapter, threads right into the bung they've got welded on right there. Just take a wrench or something and give it a little snug, and have to be manhandled. Now find your O2 sensor and go ahead and thread that in. Might as well do it while it's off the bike. And that is that 14 we talked about earlier. So give that a little snug. It's just got some copper washers under it. Alright, now we have the flange and we have the retaining clip. When we put this on, we want to make sure that this groove is facing the motor. So when we put it on, the groove wants to go that direction. So when we put the retaining clip on, the retaining clip is actually going to sit inside this groove when we tighten it. So just slide that on, let it do its thing for right now. Now I've got these funky spreader pliers things, so, but you know, use what you got at your disposal. These make it nice and easy. But like I said, when this goes on, that'll pull the clip up in there and it'll sit nice and tight. Now we got to get up front by the oil cooler and get this head pipe started and fight where there is not much space. Alright, now we're going to be reusing the original hardware fits half-inch socket. It's going to go on the stud that holds that head pipe to the bike. So we're going to bring our head pipe up in here, and we're going to get this flange lined up to go over those studs. One stud attached, and of course it's not the one that I need. Come on, baby. Alright. Not too bad. Alright, so I've got some of the threads of the studs exposed. I'm going to go ahead and get at least one of these nuts started. Try to hold that flange on. Now remember, we don't want to crank this too tight because we still got to put the muffler on. And we're going to need that play to kind of adjust in the collector. Now when you do this, make sure you're running this on by hand. You don't want to run this on with a ratchet or with an impact or anything like that, especially when you're kind of doing this blind threading. That way you make sure that you don't strip these out. Now we got that, the far back one, which is the bugger of the one, where we've got to kind of come up and around the oil cooler and try not to scratch our paint all to hell. Alright, maybe that's cock-eyeing it too much. Let's try to thread this on by hand. Disco. Alright. So we'll snug that down on the flange. Kind of get that flange to pull up a little bit. But we've still got plenty of room right here to be able to move this up and around where we need it. Okay, head pipe's on. Let's see what's next. Alright, I was kind of confused there for a second. There's a whole bunch of extra hardware in the pack that I haven't touched yet, and I just want to make double sure that I wasn't missing something. What it looks like is that if you have mid controls, then you need some spacers and some longer bolts to kind of move the control out away from the bike enough that it won't hit the header. So for us right now, where I'm at, I need to install these little thread clips onto the muffler. And they just kind of snap on like so. Just like that. And what those are probably going to be for is come in the back, come up through here with the bolts, and it's going to hold that on. So Alright, I think we're at the point where we need to get the bolts for this and get the springs to do the final attachments, and we'll start gomming around with this. Alright, we're going to get the muffler put in. We're going to loosely install these black bolts. They take, seems to be pretty much what the rest of the hardware is taking, 1/2-inch socket. We want to put them in loosely, that way we can get everything adjusted, lined up, and then we'll put the springs on and get everything where we need to be. Now see, this is where having those head pipes nice and loose allows us to kind of adjust and get everything twisted and turned the way we need it. Alright. Well, come on. It's entirely more effort than I'm really comfortable with. There we go. Alright, see that nice little tweak? Now all of a sudden it's flat. I'm sitting back here trying to crank on this and I just got to turn it a little bit. Alright, up under here is the 2 bolts that I was gomming with. Right here and right here. And you might have to fiddle with the clips that you put into the muffler. Kind of slide them front or back so you get them lined up. The holes in the bracket aren't going to move, but the clips do. So you want to make sure you get everything sorted out, get those threaded in. You don't want them threaded all the way down, but you want to get it so it holds it. And then we'll start working on putting the springs on. Alright, now they give you a supplied nifty little tool to pull the springs from one end to the other. So you're going to have a spring up top, go to this point, and a spring on the bottom, go to this point. So 2, and they're both going to attach at the same collection point.
Daddy.
Whatty? There.
What's he trying to fix? I can't see.
Trying to tighten these bolts up here, and I have to go left and right and left, and you're all blurry, baby.
I am. There we go.
I have to go to the left side and the right side, and you tighten them down evenly so you don't bend the flange.
Oh.
And you get everything snugged up the way it's supposed to be.
Is this the new motorcycle?
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be like working well?
It does work well, but I wanted something that was louder.
Louder?
Mm-hmm.
I think we got a loud enough motorcycle already.
Oh, we do, huh?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
The yellow one. And the loudest thing of all is the golf cart.
Okay, I've gone ahead and tightened down these header bolts. Left side, right side, left side, right side. Draw it in as one. Got the springs put on. Used the spring stretcher tool. Pulled it, hooked both of them. Now I'm going to go ahead and get this front one tightened on, and I didn't use it taking it off because not everybody has one, so I wanted to see if I could do it just by kind of loosening up the oil cooler. But I'm going to use a wobble socket and see if I can get in there with a wobble socket and make it so that you wouldn't have to take the oil cooler loose if you did have one. Alright. Wobble socket worked perfectly. I didn't have to do any funky mess with the oil cooler. That would probably save you, 15 minutes. And now the fact that I got to put it all back together since I've taken it apart. Alright, now that the header bolts are tightened down, we can move back to the muffler and tighten those black bolts that retain the muffler to the bracket. Alright, I've got that tightened up. Everything's nice and secure. You want to make sure that you're not touching anything, no vibrations and everything before you start tightening all this up. I should have mentioned that before. Because once you tighten it, it is where it is, and you're not going to adjust it. So if it's touching or anything, you're going to hear that rattle clatter going down, and it might wear a hole in the pipe. It might damage, wear the paint off, your new motor, something like that. Now we need to go ahead and get the passenger peg put back on. Which was, real easy because we just kept all the metal together. We didn't let the clevis or the spring or any of that stuff pop out and spring away from us. So just get it lined back up, slide that back through, works like it should, and aha, I didn't lose it. Find your E-clip and put your original E-clip on. Bam. Alright, just like that. So I'm pretty much short of me putting the oil cooler back together. This is buttoned up unless you want to put the heat shields on. But yeah, it does come supplied with heat shields that you know, go down here and right there on the, yeah. Alright, well. Ah, there. Yeah, there it goes. I was just mashing it too far, too hard, whatever. They've got these, you know, just the same as the factory. These little hose clamps. They slide right through the back right here, and just wrap around the hose. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to put my heat shields on just yet. I don't know if I want to wrap the headers or actually do something with the heat shields. Maybe paint them black or something. But there's your heat shield. There's your open band. Just force it up and through, and then it wraps around the pipe, and you tighten it on. That's all there is to it. Put the heat shields on. There's 2 on this one, 3 on this one. One other thing I forgot to mention is here you can see the lead from the front O2 sensor. It will not reach the original location where this is tied in the frame. You just need to pull this plastic piece out and mount the wire up and over, kind of up and over the frame a little bit. It's not going to hurt nothing. There's nothing there to get in, you know, get interfered with. It's just you need to get a little extra space because this is up a little higher. Alright, I guess if you've suffered through my ramblings long enough to get to this point, should give you a well-deserved listen to see what it sounds like. I'm probably sure that the camera's not going to do it justice, but I've got the garage door almost down, and we'll see what she sounds like. Sounds pretty mean to me. We'll work on it tomorrow. We'll get the tune in it. Alright, now that I've finished up the installation, I can give a few little comments on it. The fit and finish on the Two Brothers exhaust is top notch. Everything lined up just like it was supposed to. There was no real fighting, tweaking, anything like that. They give you all the hardware you need. There's 3 sets of instructions, so it has for the Softail with floorboards, Softail with forwards, Softail with mids. When you look through, just make sure you're following the right set of instructions. I think the hardest part of the install for me was when I removed that upper grommet mount for the front oil cooler. I had to put it back together, and that was just a royal pain in the butt. I did that off camera. So get yourself a wobble socket, get yourself some snap ring pliers, and easy peasy. It definitely sounds better. I'll let you guys know if it performs better.